All right. I'll be starting in 5 minutes, so let's go in 5 minutes. All right. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. So, bit of a drop yesterday again. Really bearish drop, and kind of we didn't get a good reaction from this low, and so naturally what happens is a lot of large liquidity hasn't entered the market because the reaction wasn't good. You'll get traders who will come in and they'll take a stab at this level, this area, because it's a good area, but you're still in bearish market structure on certain lower time frames. So until that changes, you're not going to get like large capital deploy, and so we don't have an impulsive reaction here. This isn't impulsive. It looks like it could be, but it's really not. So what we've got now is just a very gentle corrective grind, which is mainly shorts closing and kind of people longing as well, of course, trading, like scalping trading. I think it's more likely than not that we range here for a little bit. I think it's probably the most likely scenario. I don't think we're just going to go straight down, but I mean, I've said that before and then we've gone down, so it's never easy to kind of preempt or predict the market. But because we didn't get like a strong reaction here at the outer range low, you're not going to get like large capital deploy. It's just not going to happen. So you've got traders who are still waiting on the sidelines, waiting for some kind of either a sign of strength or a clear entry. And so from those traders, an entry would be trap shorts, lots of volume and big liquidations, followed by large buying, market buying. And so when you're looking at this area I was looking at yesterday, you weren't getting that kind of price action. So we're getting the liquidations, obviously. You'd expect that. But we're not getting like crazy impulsive high volume buying out of the lows. And so you kind of expect that there's still traders on the sideline, big traders who wouldn't take that chance, because right now it's looking quite corrective. It's not looking like an impulsive movement. It's expected a corrective move like this, which feels very bullish, and on this kind of scale it is, but it's just up and down, buying, selling, corrective. Now it might be a bullish day. No one can hi John, how's it going? One last dump, that 70k-ish free blackbird or something pattern. Free blackbird, I'll have a look at that. That's interesting. And I think John's right, actually. I think we're probably in for another dump. I don't know if it's going to happen this week. Could happen at the end of the week. And so I was kind of going through all of my kind of charts and stuff and just looking at some historic levels and stuff. And I've come across this kind of lower trend line, which we haven't hit yet, which I think would be a good place to hit or wick through, combined with the top of the previous all-time high. And that's also potentially a back test of this 1.618 extension. So I am thinking there's going to be another dump, but I don't know if it's going to happen this week. So I'm just going to hide these now. The monthly candle is going to close tomorrow night, and so it's quite interesting actually, because I wanted to kind of look at something together. At the moment, it depends on, depending on where we close. It'd be interesting to see where we close tomorrow, because if you close above the previous month low, even though it's a bearish monthly candle, it's actually closing inside the previous month, which is a range bound candle, so it would still be an inside candle. So at the moment it looks like it's outside, which on the monthly time frame is bearish engulfing candle, very bearish. If we close like that, have to see how we close tomorrow, and all eyes will be on the previous month low to see if we close underneath or above it. I think it's quite important. That being said, the weekly is off the charts bearish. So even though if the monthly does close above previous month low or above or below, I think it's this one here. John's saying previous month is some sort of cloud. Yeah, that was a really bearish candle. I said it was bearish when it happened. I said this one was bearish, that one was bearish. And so now we have that kind of, it's it's so easy in hindsight, isn't it? When it's happening, it's never easy. So in hindsight, it's easier. What's interesting is that we are back in the range. There is a bigger range, and so it's quite important to identify these ranges. So I have this kind of range high, range low, and then I've got these channels. Get rid of them. No, let me actually get rid of that one. That was an old one. That's it. And the outer range is based on this daily rule, this little daily wick here. So for all intents and purposes, that was the range, and so we're kind of coming back into the range. You still want to see a back test, and so until that happens, when you kind of zoom in, until you get a back test, and you see it hold, then basically there's no entry for most traders. They're not going to just jump in and hope that this goes up. I think it's more likely than not that the scenario that I've got in my mind right now, just kind of the probabilities, is that we've come into the lower range now, obviously. So we've lost this higher range. Let me just get rid of these. And we're somewhere in this lower area. And so if I get my other channels back up, where is it? Not that one. I think I've called it horizontal channels, have I? What the hell is it? Yeah. These horizontal ones. So we kind of lost thereabouts 91k. We're kind of in this lower one here. So that was the kind of dividing line there. Almost got to the top there. Didn't get to it quite. And we're kind of here now. This is where we are. I think it's more likely than not we just range here. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we just put volume here in this area which has no volume. And I think it'll be quite bullish to not come back down into this area. Now, a lot of people are calling for lower. And I just don't think that way. I just don't think we go lower until while we're not there yet. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm thinking we probably end up putting some volume here. And then we have to see what happens. And that's going to give traders or investors a lot more confidence, because right now it still feels like catching a falling knife, doesn't it? Feels like knife catching. Mohan, welcome. BTC bounced a bit. That's the daily 200 simple moving average. Yeah, and you're going to get bounces, aren't you? When you get these crazy sell-offs, that's what these are. You're always going to get these bounces. It doesn't mean anything when you get a bounce, to be honest with you, because until you get like some kind of structure change, we'll put some structure here, there's no reason why we don't go back down for a test. And then that's kind of, this is where the traders are going to come in. They're not kind of coming up here, they're looking for lower down, or they're looking to see support flip into big levels flip. So until they see that, they're just kind of going to stay away from the market for a little bit. Right now what you're getting is shorts getting squeezed, longs buying and selling, just trading, scalping, basically lots of scalping. If it looks quite bullish now, but unless we somehow do a V-shape here, then I don't think anyone serious is going to be looking at this and going buy. That being said, and this is the caveat, big read went to, is that 10? Fuck a duck 10. So it's not 10 on all the indexes. So when I look at the coin market cap, it's at 20. And here actually they've got a fear greed chart. So last time fear was at this low, Bitcoin was around 53k. It felt bullish for a while, huh? Sorry, bearish for a while until we finally got out of that. So the last time, you see these orange levels, they actually correspond with lows. These orange fear levels, they correspond with lows. It's quite interesting because you think, look how high Bitcoin is compared to the fear index. So whereas here you were at, Bitcoin was actually in the lows, you're thinking here, oh my god, Bitcoin's in the highs, but actually you got to contemplate the range, not the whole price action, and I think that's important. So honestly, I think it's a buy, but it's a DCA buy. It's not like a buy let's go to the moon. It's like a long buy. It's like a higher time frame buy. Oh, Coin Dreaming, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Been away? I've been ill. I've been away too. It's a tricky one because everyone is scared, huh? And when you're scared, you don't buy. But actually, this is the opportunity. New hat. Make America great again. I'm done with D-Travel, actually. Long story. Well, not really that long. They were quite abusive to me on the Telegram, and then some of the abuse led to the CEO affirming the abuse. Madness. She basically took the side of the abusers, and I didn't like that. And all I really wanted was a little chat, a little conversation, a little kind of let's address the issues. It's a tricky one because when it comes to TRVL, because look at it, fuck a duck, mental, huh? And I've been trying to talk to them, tell them, look, we got problems all the way from up here. All the way from up here, I was telling them this is not good, this is not good. And then I was sending them messages saying whales are leaving, they're selling, do something. And I'd send them a message on Telegram, for example, a nice message. And 2 days later, no response. 2 days later, like these guys really, really frustrated me. Once we hit all-time lows, I went down here, like around 1.6, 1.5, whatever. I went and said, look, this is not unacceptable. You know, you guys, this is not the way you're dealing with this. Is not right. And then it's got a lot of shit. Got a lot of shit from them, from people. And then most of D-Travel didn't respond, and the others were just saying, oh, what we're doing is fine. The markets are bad. Just really rubbish responses. And then someone was really abusive, is basically discounting my my hobby, effectively saying it's bullshit. And then the CEO went and loved their post. Fuck that. If the CEO is loving abuse, then I'm just done. I'm done with it. I'll wait for the mega bull season whenever it comes. Eventually it will come. Probably just look to exit in the highs of the range and just be done with it, probably. So I'm not trading it, but it's a shame. But I think it's trash. Now I think it's trash. I think the problem with TRVL now, and it's hard to explain to people who have no idea and don't want to listen, is the momentum is really, really strongly to the downside. With this kind of sell-off, you just can't, there's no easy recovery. This kind of 20 moving averages, it's just hard to recover easily from that. I do have a time pivot somewhere at the end of April for a bottom. I've drawn this channel out so many times to try and get the right one. I've now just extended it to the furthest pivots, hoping that hoping that we don't lose this lower line. But there's no volume, as you can see. There's zero volume. So and there's no reason why people would buy, because people don't like catching falling knives. So you're just kind of in a situation now where I hope it just can bottom out here. I hope that people go crypto mental and we can get a little crazy pump, and then I'll just exit, be done with it, and then I'll be happy. I'll be happy because I just, I'll be able to get out, and then I won't look at it again. But I gave them ideas about the project of how to change it into the crypto side, and they just don't want to listen. They think that they're going to take down Airbnb. It's just the market doesn't think so. If the market thought that D-Travel was going to take Airbnb, this wouldn't go down. And the market never lies. So anyway, that's why I have a new hat. But it's not a new hat, it's an old hat. It's just a MAGA hat. It's a pink MAGA. Anyway, so just going back to Bitcoin, I think it's more likely than not we range here for a little bit. But what's the range? I don't know. I mean, I think right now you can see we're kind of in this area. So probably that's the range. We've probably had a little failed auction, to be honest with you. It looks like we might have had a failed auction here. So I'm just wondering if we do range here a little bit. And it doesn't mean that we don't dump again. And so that, I think there's going to be, all eyes are going to be on the monthly time frame and the weekly close. Weekly close is going to be bearish as fuck, right? Unless for some reason we can close back above that low. It'll still be bearish, but you'll have quite a large volatile range in that sense. It could still go all the way down and fill the wick to come back up, but it'll be a lot. If people see that the weekly close closes back in this above that weekly pivot, oh my god, then actually people are going to start buying. They'll start buying in that. Even though it's bearish, they'll start buying that because, and then also the monthly time frame, you have the kind of similar situation, but on a higher time frame. If people see that we close above that low on the monthly time frame, I don't know if it's going to happen. It's a hard sell. It will still be bearish because the wick isn't strong enough, but it helps, huh? Every little bit of kind of everything helps to give people assurance to buy or to sell, whatever. So right now we have a little bounce. Let's have a look at your chart. Yeah, back up to the neckline. It's more likely than not that we just grind up, and I don't think it's an impulsive move. It's just a grindy move. And then probably another dump, probably another dump. I think probably it's just a balance of probabilities. I think these moving averages have to, as I've always said, you can't ignore them. You just have to kind of let them play out. That being said, dollar costing average here, we're kind of in that zone, and you don't have to go crazy, but it's not when fear is like 10, fuck a duck, it's the right fear moment, huh? But it doesn't mean that it can't go lower, huh? Can you imagine if fear goes to 0? So something that I saw, I don't know, I'm kind of like speculative. It's all speculative, isn't it? Something that I saw on X, which I bookmarked. Here, this post here. This is a weekly time frame chart. He's using the weekly EMA 20 and 50, and it's a nice idea, huh? It's not a bad idea what he's got here. It's like a fractal, isn't it? It's like a candle fractal. It's like a candle pattern fractal. You end red this week potentially. Although here there's no wick. We might. I don't know if we're going to get a wick or not. I don't know. We have to see how the week closes. Possibly not. The next week is going to go another sell-off. Maybe a test of this EMA 20 sell-off, whatever. Then doji week. Then maybe a bull trap. And according to this, you got effectively what you've got is range-bound price action until it finally can put in some weekly structure, get back above this EMA 20 according to this guy, the weekly time frame for a smash to the upside. It's kind of what he's imagining. I don't mind it, as it's not a bad idea. It's good to kind of follow these ideas just in case they play out. And then obviously you've got a lot of people calling for much lower. But if I kind of entertain the guy's ideas for a second, let me just get rid of these. Weekly red, we have to see where it closes. It's hard to know. Okay, I think because of the momentum, I kind of find it unlikely that we're going to have a strong bullish reaction, because I'm not seeing that just yet. Okay, but you never know. Then you're looking for another kind of push up and then a dump next week. So I kind of put in the weekly EMA right now, which is roughly around 90k on this time frame. So the idea is that next week, wherever you close, doesn't really matter. You still go up for a test, then you go for a dump, then you go for that's the big test, buy up, and that kind of corresponds to his idea. That will be next week, which would be the beginning of the month, which could work, which could make sense. Closing back into the weekly candle, doji, bull trap, sell that bull trap, and then find support here on his calling for the 50 EMA close. So let's just have a look at the 50 EMA and just kind of, it's kind of interesting. I like to look at other people's ideas if they could make sense. I might have to add 50 EMA here. I usually use simple moving averages, but just because it's someone else's idea, I'm just going to copy it and see. I don't really care about the colors. This actually wicks through the 50 MA. Oh, look, see that? It's got it in yellow until it finally finds support back on the 50 MA. That's what he's calling for. This is what he's following. So let me just pull it across actually. Oh fuck, image is too big. Huh? Just do it like this. Let me change that color to yellow so it matches. That would be a perfect buy opportunity, and then because you're coming back here to fill the gap, it's down there. I think it's more likely than not you go up first before you come down, rather than going down to come up. In that situation, wherever that weekly closes, to go up for a rejection, to come down, to go back up for a weekly doji here, a bit of a bull trap, down, finding support there, and then it's an idea. It's a nice idea. I don't mind it, and it kind of, it doesn't make sense. It could make sense just to kind of lots of shenanigans here over the next few weeks. According to this, you've got 1, 2, not including this week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to find the bottom from where we are now, not including this week. So that's going to put us mid-April And it's interesting because even though I'm kind of like utterly depressed with TRVL, I do have a time pivot here, which is coming beginning 21st of April. See that? And for some bizarre reason, these pivots have been working perfectly. It's always easier in advance. It's always easier in retrospect. Always easier. So it's always easier to see what happens afterwards, yeah? But actually, bizarrely, these pivots have been playing out to the T. And so there is some kind of synchronization with the markets. And so even though I'm becoming utterly depressed with this token, it's a nice guide to looking at the markets, isn't it? So you see where it topped here. It kind of topped at the right place, bottomed at the right place here. See that? And every single time you've got these kind of big pivots, these time pivots, every single time, just from these three, from the beginning to the so even if TRVL doesn't go to the moon, the chart is quite useful, to a degree. So I will be using that chart as a guide. Sorry, I had to refresh because my chart fucked up. I'm not using the levels as a guide, but I am using the time pivots as a guide for ups and downs. And so my next big level is going to be around mid-April. Another time pivot here in end of July. And then you've got another big pivot here at the end of December. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know exactly. I think these altcoins are shit. I think a lot of these altcoins, probably all of them are shit. So I'm kind of veering away from most altcoins now, even though they could pump. The reality is what's happening is that people are pumping and dumping them, and they just don't have enough liquidity. They just don't have enough liquidity to hold higher prices. And it's really the problem with a lot of these shit coins. So they do pump quite nicely. You have to catch them at the bottoms, but you have to kind of exit. You have to take profit and just move on. You can't just hold them for higher, because the reality is that all eyes are on Bitcoin, all eyes are on the majors, and no one's really that interested in these smaller coins. It's all memes or whatever. So that's food for thought. It's hard. I mean, I'm not suggesting people buy, but I mean, it's fear is 10. So over the next 6 weeks, I think we are in a buy zone. I think the buy zone is here, exactly from where we are. I think this whole thing is probably a buy zone. And to leverage, you just have to wait for the right levels. And right now, there's no leverage levels, like high leverage levels here. It's like you can't leverage that. The only way that this would change, the only way would be a failed auction. Yeah. And so I've got my eye on it. I don't know if it's going to happen. No one really knows what's going to happen. Just keeping my eye on it. I think in this context, a failed auction, I'd want to see the price fail to get underneath this lower line. A couple of days, 3 days, whatever. Just struggle to get underneath it. And you'd want to see some buying coming in. You'd want to see some bullish divergences. You'd want to see some actual buying. If you don't see that, then it's not a failed auction. Failed auctions still feel bearish even when they come up. You still feel like it's going to go down if it's a failed auction, yeah. And you only really know if it's a failed auction until you finally kind of do spring up. And then you are in failed auction territory. When you get a failed auction like that, you're going right back up, and you're still range bound, literally still range bound. So this would be a deviation technically that would be a deviation from the range. This whole thing would be a deviation from the range. And once you get up into the range, that's bullish as fuck. It doesn't mean it's going to go straight up, but it probably could impulse until it hits a major level first for another kind of bearish reaction. In this context, 100k area, the golden pocket, as if this is the pivot low of a failed auction, then that's going to be a major lower high target, major, for another kind of bearish push down right back to range lows, get people bearish again. But the reality is something like this, you're probably looking for something like that to happen. And so you're not looking for bull season, you're just looking for range bound corrective price action. And it'll probably won't take the all-time high in that context. It'll probably be looking to just put in a lower high, and you're still range bound. And that's very similar to what we experienced here, where we had a failed auction of the lows here. See that? A failed auction. Once the price got back above the range, it was a few days above the low of the range, and then it kind of got impulsive to the golden pocket. Then it went in to put a lower high here for the capitulation. See that? So that's a scenario. This could play out as well. And this is what people need to realize. Just because people are calling for lower, no one really knows what's going to happen. We could be in a situation like this here as well. Okay, that could be where we are now. Could, quote unquote. Or exactly what I was talking about slightly earlier. Something a bit more synonymous on the weekly time frame to something like this makes sense to me, where we're not looking to go back into the range. We're going to get a rejection from the range, a clean rejection, and then we're just looking to put in volume in this gap here with a nice test of this, according to this guy, the EMA 50, just the back test of this gap and the higher all-time highs. So there's a kind of two options in play at the moment. No one knows what's going to happen. Yeah, I think it's unlikely. It's possible, but it's unlikely. I think just because of the momentum of the market is strongly to the upside, I think it's unlikely that we come all the way down to here. And you'd have to lose, you'd have to fall back into, that would be really bearish, you know, like if we fall back into this range, then this whole top part becomes a failed auction. And then if you rotate back down to these lows, then I think the bull market's over, personally, because then what happens is these moving averages are no longer bullish. They all start coming down. If that happens, then you get kind of a relief rally, whatever. It's just putting a lower high here, finding resistance, and then you're actually looking to go down. Yeah, so I think to remain bullish, we have to hold the all-time high, the previous all-time high, these highs, to remain bullish. The minute we lose that and we start going further, then I think this whole thing looks extremely toppy, bearish toppy. Back into the range, that's bearish, and traders won't be looking to ride this to all-time highs. They'll just be looking to take it back to the top of the range if it comes all the way down. So I've seen some people on X calling for 50k, 55k, whatever. I think that would be the end of this bull market if that was to happen. I don't think we're going to be in a situation. I think best case scenario for a bull market in that circumstance would be consolidation here, failed auction of the low of the range for a push up, but it will take a long time. It's not going to be a quick thing. It's not going to be like we're back in it tomorrow or next month. Yeah, if we want this to continue, then the reality is that we have to somehow get back into this previous range. Whether we do it today or tomorrow, that would be similar to this, another flag type situation. Or it doesn't look like it's going to be, but just we got it's just food for thought. Or just putting volume here, putting some nice, finding support here, and then getting back into the range. Once you get back into that range, then you're probably going to go up and then up and then up, probably. And that, in terms of structurally, that makes a lot more sense. This makes a lot more sense. I think our altcoins have actually been showing some resilience now. I think mainly because they've sold off so crazily. Yeah. So it's hard to kind of say all altcoins are showing resilience when you're looking at Solana. It's at 139 and thinking, oh my God, it's showing resilience. But I think altcoins have sold off so much that right now, compared to Bitcoin, when you're comparing to Bitcoin, let me just do a little quick comparison with Solana. Actually, let me do it the other way around. You see, look, so this is what I'm looking at. You see here, Bitcoin went down, but you see here, same place, Solana just came back to the same low. You see that? So Bitcoin actually marked down and Solana didn't really mark down. It just kind of had a little swing failure of the low here. So for me, that's Solana showing more strength than Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm seeing that on a few coins. So I'm just kind of tracking a few coins. SLERF did the same thing. SLERF is actually a little bit more stronger than Solana, mainly because it's already sold off so much. I think you see that it actually put in a higher low there, the same bounce, the same drop, and actually look, SLERF managed to put in a higher low here. Okay, so a lot of coins, because they've sold off so much, they've already moved down, that now they're starting to bottom, and now Bitcoin is starting to drop. So it's almost like all coins have already bottomed, or they've already dropped, they've already moved. Not all of them, but kind of these ones that I'm looking at. Doesn't mean that they can't continue going. Nothing means that, okay? But it's just not, they're not as bearish as Bitcoin at the moment, are they? Doesn't look like it to me. They all kind of, when I look at all of them, I look at ENA. I talked about ENA and a couple of days ago. It actually dropped before Bitcoin here. See that? This is here. The bounce was much more bullish. See that? And actually, instead of going down, it actually starts putting in higher lows here. See that? So it was actually, this is actually more bullish than Bitcoin. ENA has been more bullish than Bitcoin. So usually when Bitcoin is crashing, altcoins give up the ghost. They give up their soul. But here you can clearly see that actually ENA has been stronger than Bitcoin. Much stronger. From this pivot low here, ENA is up 19%, while Bitcoin has dropped. So we're starting to see signs where altcoins are bottoming. Okay, now because these altcoins have moved down so much, this kind of price action on altcoins is required to turn the momentum. So the market is overall bottoming in, with altcoins being a little bit more resilient. Not all of them, but some of them a little bit more resilient than Bitcoin. You know, like Cake already had its spotlight because we had that crazy volume, which I talked about a few streams ago. See, in this context, just kind of comparing them, you see, while Bitcoin went to take out these lows, Cake, just again the same thing. It didn't have as strong as bounce as some other coins like Solana or SLERF, but the fact that it just kind of only put in a slightly lower low, whereas Bitcoin went down much more, just tells me. And remember, Cake's already pumped. It's at $2 now, so it already pumped, whereas some coins have been dumping. So it's just food for thought. It's just kind of good to see these things like Sui, looking at Sui again, using the same pivots. See that higher low there? The bounce wasn't as good as Solana, but for me this is looking more bullish than this. Doesn't mean that these can't drop further. It's just kind of like I'm just seeing that people are less likely to sell their alts at these levels. And what actually could be happening is that people are starting to accumulate, which is why you're getting these higher lows. They're starting to accumulate altcoins. They're starting to buy into their altcoins again. So we're starting to see that. And this is a kind of it's not a 1 day, 2 day thing. It's going to take a few days or weeks for this to play out. Let's have a look at ETH. Again, they're kind of in some ways similar. Just took the low here, whereas Bitcoin went down. The bounce on ETH hasn't been as good as some other coins, but and here you see that bounce on ETH was a real good bounce, whereas Bitcoin had a really poor bounce. So we're starting to see kind of a little bit of strength in it. It doesn't mean that all coins aren't going to continue going down. So what I'm seeing now on Bitcoin is corrective price action. I think it's more likely than not we're going to be range bound for a while. Okay, I don't know, but that makes sense to me. A little bit of range bound price action. So I'd like to see that. So it's hard to imagine range bound price action when the range hasn't formed yet. But that's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining some kind of range here. So bullish at the lows, bearish at the highs of this range. For the range at the moment is here. Maybe we hold here to go to the top of the range. Maybe we go back to the bottom of the range. Maybe just put some range bound price action here. That will flatten some of the lower time frame midpoints of these Bollingers. You see we're already above the midpoint of the 1 hour, so we're not trending down on the 1 hour time frame at the moment. Now we're coming in. You see these kind of midpoints, these moving averages, they all have to kind of flatten out. Maybe they do until these bigger ones, these oh god, until these bigger ones starts to move the price, like this 12-hour midpoint or this daily midpoint. Look at that. And possibly that's what the price is waiting for. It's just waiting for these midpoints to trend down to catch up with the price. If you get range bound price action here, then you'll probably end up with that kind of that last dump to take us down to those lows. And then you want to see a reaction. You want to see a really bullish reaction to come back into the range. And if that happens, then we could be just range bound for some more here, and then we have a chance to get back up into that higher range. When you're looking at like the weekly Bollinger Bands, it's quite interesting because it's good to look at these things. We've lost the midpoint there, so that probably will, I think it's highly unlikely that we just get back above the midpoint. So that's kind of taking us back into the somewhere around there, potentially next week for a rejection. But like when you're looking at a lot of these, so what is it that I was looking at? I think it was Solana. Yeah, look, this one. This is quite interesting on Solana, because on the weekly time frame, let's get rid of these. I think Solana's coming to a really good place, because look on the weekly time frame, look where we are. We're at the bottom of this Bollinger Band here. When you go back in price history on Solana, that was the bottom there. This was the bottom here. When it hits that bottom, now if we are rejecting from the highs, potentially we're here, aren't we? So there hasn't really got much more room to move before it goes up to test the midpoint. The price usually, it's a high probability the price will go back up for a test of the midpoint in a circumstance like this. Yeah, the price after you go through the midpoint. So basically what's happened here on Solana is you've gone from the top of the Bollinger Band through the midpoint without any kind of meaningful backtest right down to the bottom of the band. Yeah, and the probability in the future, if this is going to top, if we are looking to top here, is that the price will go back for a test similar to what happened there. Yeah, so that's likely to happen. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter how far you come into the, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back eventually. In this circumstance, it came back above it. It was already sold off. Maybe in the if we have topped out, then you're expecting Solana to at the very least come back to the weekly midpoint for a rejection in the future. If we haven't topped out, then this could be something like there, but I think it's unlikely to be something like that. It's you know, the reality is that we are in a good place to buy. We're not in a good place to sell. We're in a good place to buy. And so one of the reasons why I think SLERF is looking good, because I see that SLERF is a little bit strong on the Solana at the moment, and it's already moved down quite a lot. Got this we're coming into this kind of 1.414 extension now. With starting to see some volume come in here, and while this could still go down, I think we're starting to reach really good levels on this token. I talked about it before. The volume is quite good, like 15 million volume last 24 hours, 34 million market cap. So the volume on this token is still really good. Yeah. The radium volume is $1 million in the last 24 hours. Gate 4 million, and then the perpetuals is quite good as well. Look, Binance. So you've got quite good volume on the token like this. Arguably you could say, well, why not other tokens? Why not other meme coins? I mean, this has already sold off so much. It's never had a run, and I think eventually, if and when I'm not suggesting people trade it, but dollar cost average on a higher time frame basis is on a token like this could be a good strategy, because ultimately what you've got with SLERF is this liquidity pool which just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because they can't extract value out of the liquidity pool. And so what you have is a deflationary token with SLERF. It's at around 2 million volume on Radium. I calculated it to be about 3 or 4% APR in terms of the deflationary element. That's That's at the current volume. And so in the future, if that volume increases, it becomes even more deflationary. So it's a very unique play on this. It's not something that I say just you know, do your research, whatever. Not financial advice, but I don't think it's a bad idea if you're interested in Solana to have a long-term dollar costing average approach to something like this, because eventually what will happen is we will have a break of this out of trend line eventually. Now for most people, they could just wait. You could just wait for the break, wait for the test, wait for the resumption, change of market structure. You could enter much higher and ride it and then take your profit. That would be a good trade if that happened. Or if you're like thinking higher time frame, like long term, if you're thinking like 3 or 4 years, you're thinking Solana, ETFs, etc., etc., then we're really on tokens like these. We're at really nice, coming to really nice prices, where the price is really sold off, like it's really sold off. And so these are the opportunities. These are like lifetime opportunities, yeah, potentially on these tokens. And so when you've seen this structure play out, you've seen this kind of the sell-off, we're coming to a good place on Solana, we're coming to a good place in crypto fear, then I think something like this, you can see that it's got pump the potential. And that's kind of why I'm interested in this so much, because when it does pump, it will pump, yeah. It has that potential to pump, and because of the derivatives trading as well. And so as a higher time frame spot play, I don't think this is a bad play personally, but you have to kind of DCA in over time. You can't just kind of buy and expect it to go up tomorrow. What I've seen is that this is showing a little bit more strength than Solana at the moment, and as you can see, most of the selling is done. It looks like it's really exhausted, the selling. And then the other thing is on the order books, I'm seeing that the buy orders, the limit longs are significantly weighted, heavier weighted. The other thing I've been noticing is Wintermute has been buying and selling as well. This is Wintermute. They're selling here, they're buying here. You see that? So they're buying and selling. So there's interest from the bigger players, you know. Eventually, if this does in the course of a crazy bull season in the future, tokens like this will get listed on other exchanges. They'll just have to buy in, and so that will also increase the value. So in terms of spot, I think it's I mean, crypto is risky, right? But and this is at all-time lows, and so people will be thinking, well, let me just wait for strength because I just want to buy into strength. Well, you could do that. If you're buying spot, you don't really just scale into low prices, but strength, you have to look for a market structure change. That's the first sign of strength that you're looking for, market structure change. So you're looking, in this context, you're looking for up, down. You'd wait for the first high to be taken, then you'll be looking to the golden pocket for a buy. I don't think it's a bad play personally, but not financial advice. So I'm kind of interested in that. Let's have a look at ETH BTC, because I've been talking about ETH BTC a lot. It's interesting because last week we had a really strong green candle, and this week we just had a really crazy sell. Is that a bear trap? Sorry, bull trap. It's weird to find bull traps at the lows. I don't think you get bull traps at the lows. Usually bull traps are at the highs because they trap the bulls because they want to push it higher and then the price crashes. And usually at the lows you get bear traps. Yeah, not bull traps. It's weird to have a bull trap at the low. It can happen, but potentially we're more in a, if this does want to continue going down, we're more in this situation here where you have this bullish engulfing followed by this bearish engulfing, and then it went up to take the top before it continued. It's more like that than a trap. And the other thing to bear in mind is, this is the thing, so I talked about this yesterday. ETH BTC here bottomed out. It took about 6 months here. A 6-month bottoming. Yeah, I was interested in this bottoming here, as I said yesterday, because we already have like 3 months here, 4 months above the point of control. So I thought maybe 2 months, another 2 months here, we could bottom. And that's what I was thinking. Well, it's come down, isn't it? So you either want to see on ETH BTC, you either want to see again a failed auction to take us back above the point of control. We have to get back above the point of control. It's really important. Or you want to see this go lower and come right back into this low area. Now, if it does go back into the value area low here, we could be looking at another 6 months, another 6 months of the lows. And so that completely changes everything, because that means we're going into a little bit of a prolonged bear market across the board, rather than what people might want or expect, which is lower prices and then a V shape to all-time highs. So there's some conflicting welcome. There's some conflicting ideas here, yeah. And ultimately, what needs to happen with ETH BTC, I'll keep on going on about it. It has to bottom. Crypto won't bottom until ETH BTC bottoms. When I say crypto, I mean not everything apart from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a beast, but crypto, altcoins, this needs to bottom. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, you get some meme coins and Solana, whatever, that do their own thing for different reasons. Now, we could easily next month get a really strong bullish engulfing, just like we did here. See this bearish engulfing candle here. It's strong bullish engulfing. Possible. Not likely, but possible. The context is different here, because here you're in an uptrend. Here we're at the tail end of a downtrend, potentially. And so generally speaking, when you're in a kind of downtrend, it takes time to reverse. This is going to take time to reverse. I don't think this is going to be a 1-day, 2-day job. And whatever happens, we need to get back above the point of control and reclaim it. So I'm just taking it week by week, month by month, when it comes to this chart. Last 2 weeks we had 2 green weeks, and then we've got this red week, potentially, probably. That doesn't mean we can't. Next week we can't. We have to see how this closes, because this could be a bearish engulfing week on ETH BTC. It's starting to look like it, isn't it? We're at the lows. We've engulfed the previous week. So you could argue that is a bit of a bull trap in that sense. And that could lead to lower. And in the same way that a lot of coins have filled their wicks, you could end up with this ETH BTC filling its wick too for a test down here. That could also work well with ETH coming down to fill the wick here. And then the other thing that's really bearish, like ultra bearish, is you've got this kind of bull market trend line, which we've lost on ETH now. Typically, if we do come down for a test, maybe next week, go up and then down for a test here, bottom here, you're still in trouble here. You still need to get back into that trend line. It's going to require real strength to do that. Could happen. It has happened before. But the probability is not. The probability is you reject if that happens, if you do trend here. And so everyone's going to be really bullish when we bottom out. And everyone's going to be calling for the bull market to begin, you could end up in a situation where actually you reject. So you've got to be aware of these things, you know, like it's not cut and dry, we're going up the moon time type thing. And just looking at ETH BTC, really this needs to bottom out. Like, I mean, there's no two ways about it. Until this bottoms out, it doesn't really matter where you get your altcoins, what price you buy them. You just want to buy it when this is bottomed. Yeah. So does this look like a bottom to you? It could, it's possible, but we're just kind of in a range here. Bearish divergence here, but we have got some kind of we are kind of getting into oversold here. The probability is that we do go down here. And then again, it's the same thing with this kind of, with kind of something like this. You just want to see, really genuinely, we want to see market structure change as well. Really, that's what we were looking for, market structure change. That's really important. That's the lower high, that's the lower low, that's your outer levels. Right now we're just in the middle. So it'll be a lot easier to change market structure here if we do take the low. Then we can just come up to take the high, and then we can have a little market structure change here. That probably is going to be the first clue of when everything bottoms, when if BTC bottoms like this, where you get a really strong market structure change. And so I think until that happens, it's probably just worth scalping, basically. We're trading the range, scalping, not really kind of just not looking at the charts, even scalping. When you get into profit, just take profit and just move on to the next trade. Probably, I think that's probably the best kind of idea now. When it comes to BTC, I mean, I think BTC could grind up. It could range, it could grind up. I think it's probable that it grinds up until and clear out all of these shorts. The levels that I'm kind of looking at right now on Bitcoin, I mean, look, we're in a range, aren't we? We're kind of in this range. But I do wonder, just to get the market a little bit bullish before it dumps in the future, if we could kind of come up to here and take out this wick here. It's about 92.5. I don't know if we're going to go all the way, to be honest with you. I think that will get the market really bullish, because people will be like, oh my god, we're back in the range. But to be back in the range, you need a nice strong back test. That will be really, it'll look really bullish if we go up there, but we're not back in the range until the price tells you that it's flipped. Yeah. So if that happens, that will be a V-shaped recovery of this local price action for a market structure change, but you still need a back test that needs to hold. Then for a market structure change here, you need to go back up and take that. That'll be a 4-hour time frame market structure change. Yeah. So I'm not thinking that, because of the momentum. You know, the market momentum is still strong to the downside. So I know that has to play out. If we do manage to somehow find our way to that level that I've marked, you know, you've got this Bollinger Band coming down. I found it highly unlikely that we just stop there. If you get rejected from somewhere there off that 12-hour midpoint, probably more likely more likely than not you just get smashed down, more likely than not. So, but I do think the market needs to become really bullish again and it'd be nice if it just went up like that, so people are thinking V-shaped recovery. Yeah, look at it, it's the golden pocket. No, come up to the golden pocket now for another rejection, for a lower high here, for a smash down. Does that correlate to there's the midpoint there of the weekly? Look at that. And does that correlate to the, yeah, it kind of correlates to that mid 20 EMAs. It's kind of a little correlation there between a few levels where the price kind of, I'd like it to see it go up there, and a good place to short, probably. Good place, a little rejection up there. Market is bullish, everyone is bullish. Be a good place for the price to re-eject. So I am thinking about that wick. I am thinking about the golden pocket. I am thinking a little bit of range bound price action, which feels bullish because you end up putting in kind of lower highs, higher lows, high highs. It's kind of like that with a final push and rejection type thing, type situation, rather than, it could always go, like, the other thing is it could always go down and up like that. It could always go down and up for a bullish reaction off the lows. But because we're back above this outer range low, possibly that was a nice low that was put in, and maybe now we just kind of range bound grind up type thing and then trying to get to the golden pocket. So I think if you're looking for the next good trade, possibly it'll be somewhere around there, golden pocket. Ideally you want to take it and lose it. It'll feel really bullish because we'll be back in the range, but ideally what you want is, you don't want a significant back test of this range low as you go up. You don't want to, you just want it to kind of a small back test and just go up. And then people were like, this is it, this is the place to buy, and it could be, but it could also reject, fail, and then your shorts will pile in because you've just lost the range low again. And then when that happens, you're going to get some aggressive shorting, and then maybe then we can go down and capitulate. So I'm kind of thinking like that at the moment, and then we have to see what happens next. But I'm not thinking sell now. I'm thinking buy. But it's not impulsive buying. It's just, like I said, it feels very corrective price action. So just scale in and try and take profit somewhere around there, 92.5 or so. Altcoin Dreaming said slightly higher, I think. Let me find the link again. No, they're pretty much the same level. He's got it slightly lower, actually, 92. Pretty much the same level we've got in mind. I think what I'd like to see is these wicks taken. I think that would be a really good place, slightly above 92. Not for a lot, just for a kind of a swing failure of those that area, golden pocket. And I think a lot of traders will be looking to short that, to be honest with you, rather than, you get a lot of longs who'll be looking to take profit. A lot of traders will be looking to short that, and then the market will be like, this is it, we're going to the moon, V-shaped recovery, go. Yeah, you could always get squeezed. Their shorts can always get squeezed and it can go higher. So that's why that's you wouldn't short anywhere except there. And then ideally what you'd be looking for, because you're going to get short center a swing failure, but ideally what you're looking for is a loss, is a claim and a loss. That's kind of what you're really looking for. A little kind of market structure change, similar to the all-time highs, which I missed, unfortunately. Sucks. Where we had this drop and then, where was it? can't remember where it was, but there was a drop. I think it was probably here. There was a little drop. Something similar to that would be ideal. Yeah, so it feels really bullish. Shorts will come in at the right place. The price will come down, take profit, but the entry will be the final pump into the local golden pocket. So wherever you kind of want to see a lower time frame market structure change. Yeah, so in this context there was a lower time frame market structure change, and see price came back to the golden pocket. That was your entry. Invalidation above the high, that was your lower low, that became your lower high, and then the big shorts actually piled in here, not there. You're going to get the high risk taker shorts who would just come in as the price comes down. They'll be taking profit, and then as the price pumps back up, they'll compound back in validation at the same pivot. And so something similar to that would be nice. And so therefore, because it will feel really bullish if and when the price does come up to that level. Yeah, and so you can get the shorts can enter, market structure change, then you can get like one more kind of local golden pocket. That's kind of where you want to enter here for a rejection type thing. That's kind of what you're looking for. Right, so that's kind of Bitcoin right now. I think we're just kind of a little bit rangy here right now. Kind of, you could trade this, but you have to kind of scale in and then just dollar cost average in and take profit when you're in profit. Invalidation at the low or the high. If it's range bound, it's just like scalpy. But ideally, what we want to see is the price kind of get to the about 92 and a bit. All right, that's kind of where we're at now. And yeah, I'm not going to stream for much longer. I'm going to go now because it's 1 and I have to go somewhere. All right, so have a good day. I hope my stream helped. Sometimes it's not helpful, sometimes it is. I hope that today it's been helpful. I'm not feeling bearish today. I feel like we'll probably grind up though. Like, I'm not feeling pumpy. I'm feeling grindy. There's money to be made, you know, when the price grinds up. So you just got to DCA in and then take profit when sometimes you get these little pumps. Take your profit and don't hold on. Just take profit and then continue DCAing in and take profit. But I think the trajectory now is probably to the upside. Probably. All right. I'm not imagining more downside, to be honest with you. All right. Have a good day, guys. Thanks for joining me, John, as always. Mohan, Altcoin Dreaming, nice to see you. RH, I'm trying to not do late night chills because I need to get to bed. So I'll try and do kind of more morning sessions, just quick ones, so I can be in and out, have a look at the charts. I need to look at the charts myself, so I'd like to have a look at them in the morning, more like, or just before the New York session. Bye guys, have a good day and see you on Discord.